It is not the challenge of dollars. It is the challenge of ideals and ideas. If the producers of pictures see only the dollar, then I believe those production efforts will fail.
It was something that I thought about when I was quite young. My father, who worked at the Warner Brothers lot, was the referee between my grandfather Harry and my great uncle Jack. So he would come home at night and sit around the table and tell us these very dramatic stories about what went on between these two guys. So I would listen to this story, and then I would go to the studio with him on Saturday, because they worked 6-day weeks back then, lucky for me. And I would see this booming, creative community creating all these films, and yet I knew I knew what was going on behind the scenes, that these guys were not very good friends. So that was when I was, in 10, 12 years old, I was listening to stories like that. And then in my mid-20s, I was really searching for something that I could commit to creatively that had some kind of meaning to me. I recalled, how close I was to my grandfather, and in the process of recalling that, I recalled the last time that I saw him. And something, that happened in our last meeting caused me to feel like I had made a promise to him. I didn't know what the promise was exactly, because I was 10 years old. Maybe, what it was that he wanted me to do was to tell their story, because most people in the family didn't want to talk about it. It was kind of a very hushed, nobody wanted to talk about what happened between my grandfather and his brother. And so, I went, well, but I don't really know these people, and I don't really know how they created the studio. And I was interested in the business, and I was, had children of my own, and I thought, well, this is my roots, this is, their roots, this is our heritage. So I went, well, boy, why don't I just start researching it and see what happens? And I'll tell you, the more I researched it, the more inspired I got. Respect for big dreamers who come from nothing, and what it took, for them to overcome, all the barriers and the challenges and all the reasons why they should quit when they didn't. And that philosophy of life is something that I have adopted, and want also to pass along to other people, because it's so necessary. It's necessary for a lot of reasons. First of all, to be clear about what your dream is, and then to just understand that there are going to be people and things that want to stop you for whatever reason, or don't believe in what you think is important. And yet what you have to do is you have to be able to weather, that, and persist. And it's really knowing what you're passionate about, and that there are going to be trials and tribulations, and that, if you've got that passion will carry you through to the end. It was magical. It's the best word I can find, because this man was the kindest soul I've ever met. I never knew he ran a studio until I actually went on the lot and I saw that people were treating him differently, than other people. But he was such a down-to-earth guy that I really couldn't tell who was the janitor and who was the star, because he would greet anyone in the same manner, whether they were, you know, low on the totem pole or not. And I mean, those are things that you observe as a kid that just stay with you, you know, I think. And he was a true grandfather. He was a family man at the highest order. He loved his family. He really built that foundation for me the first 10 years of my life. We used to go out to, he had a ranch, and he was a gentleman farmer, and he raised horses. There was a time when there was a colt that was born from a famous racehorse, and he took me down to see her. And we were standing there admiring her, and he bent down and he said, "You know what? I'm going to call her Cass because I know she's a winner." Yeah. And I went, God, you know, to have someone like that who gives you that kind of encouragement and, you know, belief in you and so on. I mean, it only takes one person, but thank God I had that one person in my life, and it was him. Well, you know, I wrote the book, and the book came out in 1993. And I always had in mind to do it as a film. I always saw it as a film, which is how I actually got through writing the book, because I'm not a non-fiction book writer. But I have, you know, from being around my father, I have some training in the area of screenwriting. So I always saw it as a film. And the thing that I tried to do is get it done as a miniseries first. So I tried for a decade, you know, to do that. And actually what stopped me from trying is I saw someone wrote a speculative script, just for free, just to show me, you know, what we could do possibly to sell the script to a network. So I looked at the script and I was horrified, because it was all about the dirt and the scandal. It wasn't about what I felt was important, you know, that I wanted the story I wanted to tell. So I immediately went, you know what, I don't want to do a miniseries, but I think I really should do first is a documentary, because at least the documentary will be factual, and that will be, you know, the basis on which people can go back to, you know, at least they could watch that and see what was the truth, rather than, you know, whatever somebody decides to do that is about the other stuff. So I always wanted to do it as a film. I think for me it's to encourage others who are dreamers to hang in there no matter what, never quit. Just, you know, look at what is the next real step that you can take, do it, and just keep doing the real steps until you have a product that you're proud of. But, you know, it's really more than the money. It's the satisfaction of persisting, the satisfaction of knowing, you know, that you have something to contribute or to do, and that the rewards are oftentimes not monetary. Instead they're giving you a pride or a certainty in having accomplished your goal, you know, and hopefully it's something that you can share with other people, and it's something that you feel deeply about, that you want to communicate. And I think, you know, if there's one thing that I got from my family's story, it's that. Well, Warner Sisters was something that I always wanted to do prior to writing the book, but I thought the first step should be the book. And because I was actually acting before the book came out, and writing, but after the book was done, I went, okay, so now knowing that, that's a stepping stone to a bigger game. The bigger game was Warner Sisters, is creating a production company and carrying forward a legacy that I'm very happy to be born into. So one of the things that was so great about the book and doing the book and researching who my grandfather was is that I discovered that we had some similar goals and also the objective and the original motto for the company was to educate, entertain, and enlighten, and that was something that I adopted, for Warner Sisters motto to be, and that's because I've always felt that that was what entertainment really could be and should be. I'm very big on, helping people to realize what their objective is so that they can see that what they do on a daily basis is actually getting them closer to their goal or to their dream. Then you wake up in the morning and you're happy to go to school, or you're happy to go to work, or you're happy to do whatever it is you're doing, rather than choosing, for instance, signing up to go into the military because you have nothing better to do. To me it's a sad state of affairs, when someone feels that they don't have a dream. And so the Dream Factory is using my family as an example of dreamers who had nothing, came from nothing, and worked their way up, to being successful. Then there's creating an inspirational library of interviews, which is the conversations with the cast interviews, that help someone, say, who's interested in being an actor, to see how Matthew McConaughey did it, And another interesting aspect of someone who's successful is that they're very clear about what their objective is. And from being clear, they then have a very strong purpose and a very strong intention, that's behind what they're doing. And it's that passion that when they come up against an obstacle carries them through. And it's that persistence and that passion, which is just basically there because they love what it is they're going for, that keeps them, gives them that stamina and that strength to get through the challenges that there are, along the way. That is a wonderful question. It's one of my favorite questions because it really gets to the heart of the person, and I'm glad you're asking me that. So what is my definition of success? For me, it's feeling incredibly comfortable in my own skin, knowing who I am, knowing what I'm able to accomplish, and being committed to affect others in a positive way. Because if I've succeeded in doing that, then I feel successful.